Okay, so let's go and see the process of creating a staging area table and fact and dim tables. Okay, so here I have my Manage Studio. I'm going to go to another one. Let's see if I have something here. Okay, I have the retail data here. And if I open this and I said script table, create to new query window, you actually get all the data from the table. So I'm going to just copy this. This is the Excel document that I uploaded with the data. And I'm going to a regular notepad. I'm going to type this. And since I'm going to need all of that, most of it, that data, I'm just going to format it here. I'm going to make sure that I take all the square brackets out. Now I'm going to take all the square brackets from the other space. I said replace all. So now I have my data there. So the first thing that you need to do is create a key. And we're going to call this stage area key. We're going to use data type int, and we're going to use identify 1.101 auto is the key will be automatic created by by MS SQL Server, and I don't want it to be empty, not null. Okay, so identify or identity. Let's go look this because I always confuse. Is it identity, not identify? So I apologize for that. There is identity. Identity. Did I type correctly? Yes. Okay. Identity. Okay. So I created my key right here. And then I'm going to look at the rest of the data and see, do I need that data in my staging table, or I don't need this data, right? So I need gender, that's for sure. I need age, uh, annual income, cannot have a space. I'm going to put an underscore and take this special character here. I want everything to be simple, so when I do the cleanse of the data, I don't want it to have problems. So here, I put underscore, sales rep, and varchar, region, month, sales, units sold should be either together or with underscore. Let me see. I'm not going to need anything that's older than 2014, so I'm going to take that out, so transaction amount. And I am going to take the transactions that are older than 2014. I don't need them. All right, so that's okay. Now, first transaction date time, last on the stored ID, sign name, location, quadrant. Here I'm going to change this to just address. This doesn't tell me anything. I don't know what it means, that data means, so I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to take this off. So now I have my table here. Just going to copy, and I'm going to run this into my database. So I'm going to go and make sure that I am the correct retail DW, and I'm going to paste that, and I cannot call it that, so we're going to call this stage area retail. All right, so now you have a unique table, you have a unique key here, the stage area key, and now that you created the data, that you're going to insert all your values that you need to create your other tables, you will be running this. Okay, so let's go run this. Let's go execute, and it was executed perfectly. So let's go here and refresh. Go here, and here I have my staging area. So after you created your staging area, another thing that you need to do is look at your data and evaluate which data goes in a dimension. So which data represents where and when, like to use for filter, sorting and filter. So all your fact uh, data, all your fact column names, they are for amounts and business process, they had to have a relation to something, to a customer, to a store, to a location, where they sold, to a time when it sold, last year, or Black Friday, and so forth. So I had to identify here, so I'm going to open a new query. The first thing that I need to identify is, look at the data. I have gender, I know income, spending scores, representatives, the region, month. So the region will be the location, right? Where is this? Where did the units and the sales happen? Which region? All right. I also have gender and age, and I know income, and I have a customer. So I have a customer too. I have a location. All right, and I have a date. All right, so the first thing I'm going to start with a simple one. Create table dim date. So you want to create a table that holds when things happen, right? So let's go look at the data, gender, age, spending, region, month. So this data right here is a data that I need to know. But before I can put my data, that is something that I need to do. I need to give a unique identifier to this table, right? So we're going to call it dim date or date key. Just simple date key. Once again, is an int, and I'm going to copy the in identifier here, and I'm going to add it to my table. All right, so I have two int, so I should delete that. All right, so month. Okay, so I wanted to know the month. What month things happen? Let's go look. Sales, units sold, customer and transactions, 2015. Last, first and last transactions. I know that the first and the last transactions are daytime. So that's another date that you're going to put in there. Okay, because you want to know when. So here they're going to put the first transaction and the last transaction. What else there? Location, zip code, quadrant, sign name. I think this is the only data that really represents when, right? So, okay, here. And I'm going to highlight, make sure that I am in the correct here database, and I'm going to execute. And there you go. So I have that one. So now I have to do one for looking at this. I know that I have region. I have store ID, location to quadrant and address and zip code. So that all of that will be uh, where. So create table location. All right. So, and it's actually dim, and location is lower. location. Okay, so I'm gonna have to add a key here. So is location key, and then after that I'm gonna add that all the information, and it's one more here, the month, no, the region. Stored ID, site name, first, last transaction. Okay, and here, comma. So that's the region. All right, so I have my second table here. If I'm not wrong, I already put everything related to the location. I'm going to just run this and it's done. All right, so my third table will be, so we got the date, the location. Now let's see what we have now. We have I know that I have a customer here because I have the gender, the age, the annual income, spending score, and so forth. So I'm going to go here and create a table called customer. All right, so this will be customer key, and in the bottom, I'm going to put gender, age, I don't know, is core right here. So that's things that we want to know about the um, the customer. We'll talk about the spending score, the annual income in a minute. So month, sales, unit. So we have a customer ID. Okay, the customer ID maybe can help us to identify the data for customer. Okay, so here is customer ID. But customer ID is not a primary key or any unique identifier. It's just a column name. All right, so customer ID, transactions, stored assign a location, one of the zip code. Okay, so I think that let's see, customer gender, age, annual income, spending score. All right, so I think we're going to leave our income here in the customer, din customer. All right, so I'm going to get my table here and I'm going to execute and no problem. Another thing that I want to add is I have a lot of information about the store. So I wanted to add a theme store table. The reason is they can point it out which store sold the most. So here we're going to put store ID. Store key, and then let's see something else. What else that belongs to the store? Sales representative. I want to know who is the person who is representing that store. Might be important, might not be important. Month sales, that's not units sold, customer. Transactions, amounts, transactions, no. First transaction that we already did, store ID, site name, and the site name. So I need to know that store ID and the site name. So, so I need from the store, we created a key. We know the representative for that. We know the ID for that store and the site name for the store. So that's a very good amount of information about a store that you want to know. All right, so we're going to run this. We're going to execute and perfect. Okay, so now I created all the data for filtering and sorting. So my last table is to create the fact table. So we're going to go here and call fact, and I'm going to call that fact sales, because that's what you want to know, right? Sales key. All right. So what did I need to put in my sales table? First of all, in order to connect a fact table that has measurements with a table that has filtering and grouping and sorting and other information, you have to have a relationship. So we need to add a key. We're going to add all the keys. So first is date, then location key. Note that I'm not adding as a foreign key. I'll do that with an alter table. So I have the day key, location key, location now, customer key, customer key, a store key, so you already added all the keys to your fact table. So you'll be able to get connections to the date table, the deemed date table, the location, deemed location table, the deemed customer, and the deemed store. All right, so I add my keys. Now I have to see which of this data will allow me to do measurements. Actually, a lot of them. So sales and units sold is a unit of measurement. Yeah. Now, what else? Transaction amounts, all of this, it allows me for measurements. Now let's see if we have anything else left. That's a date, the store float, site, location, quarter, and so that's it. That's the only type of data that we need in our fact table. All right, so let's go and run this. So we have the key for the sales key for the fact table. The date key is a foreign key. The location key is another foreign key. Customer key is another foreign key. And then we have the units of measurement, the sales, units sold, transaction amount for the 2014, transaction amount for 2015, transaction for 2014, transaction to 2015. I'm going to run this, make sure that I am in the correct, and there you go. So I'm going to go and close this. And I said, yes, I'm going to save this. Okay. And here I'm going to close this one and I'm going to say yes. Yes. All right. So if I refresh this and I go to my tables and I open my tables, I should be able to see my stage retail area, my fact cells, my dim store, dim location, dim date, dim customer. All right.